Greetings and welcome to another edition of Black Talk Radio, where black radio stations matter and black lives definitely matter. Today's video is about a girl who gouged out her eyes on a meth trip, and she now says life is more beautiful. Well, what do you expect for someone on meth? But anyways, let's go to this story and find out exactly what Becky is talking about. Well, it was a scene out of a horror movie. A 20-year-old woman gouged out her eyes with her hands outside of a church in South Carolina in what she believed was a necessary sacrifice to God. Kaylee Muthart was left completely blind by the meth-induced psychotic trip that compelled her to rip out her eyes and warped her perception of religion. Today, Muthart is drug-free and learning to traverse the world without sight and says, life's more beautiful now. The horrific accident took place on February 6th in Anderson, South Carolina, just days before she was to attend a rehabilitation facility for previous abuses with meth. So, this girl has had a history of being a drug abuser, and this time it led her to poke her eyes out and, as she puts it, twist them and crush them. Well, she was found gouging out her eyes outside of a church early in the morning, where passerby tried to stop her from her wild act of self-harm, but she fought them off. It took a team of deputies to hold her down. From there, she was transported to the trauma unit at Greenville Memorial Hospital. It was there doctors reported to her mother, Katie Tompkins, that Muthart was blind. That was a struggle. I can't even explain that feeling when I found out. It was horrifying, complete terror. Tompkins, who is raising money to get her daughter a service dog. It's a horrific thing, but I'm still thankful because God spared her life, she added. Reflecting upon the terror, she said the meth trip led her into a state of delirium that warped her perception of religion. She said she thought the dead were stuck in their graves and required a sacrifice from her eyes, in order to release them to God. Quote, I thought everyone who had died was stuck in their graves, that God was up in heaven alone, and that I had to sacrifice something important to be able to release everyone in the world to God, Kaylee said. It made the world darker and took everything I believed in and distorted them to make me go down the path to pulling out my eyes, she added. It was scary. I didn't understand what God wanted of me, but it made me feel a sense of righteousness that I had to be the one to do it. And I was glad to do it because I've always had a big heart and nobody's ever given me that love back, she said. She said she felt like she was running out of time to save the world and was madly searching for an acquaintance. Feeling short on time, she twisted out her eyes for the sacrifice. I proceeded to pull out my eyes with my bare hands and twisted them and pulled them and popped them. I told the pastor who showed up, pray for me. I want to see the light. Pray for me. Well, family, first of all, before I continue, this girl was on a trip. She was on a trip. I don't know about this meth, but they can have it. Hey, if they love it, they like it, I love it. But I don't want no parts of it. And family, black folks in particular, please do not F with it. Do not experiment with it. Just say no. If you're one of the swirlers out there in the world, say no to your swirling partner. Whoever they are, say no. I digress. Muthart had an extended stay at the hospital and a psychiatric facility after the traumatic incident. She returned home on March 1st. Doctors believe the meth may have been laced with another chemical. You think? It's the same life, but I'm just learning everything in a new way, she said. Life's more beautiful now. Life's more beautiful than it was being on drugs. It is a horrible world to live in, she added. Well, now, you just can't see no parts of it. So, I don't know what to say. I don't know that trade-off. I would not recommend or suggest anyone make this type of trade-off whatsoever like what she just did. This was stupid. It was just plain dumb. She says, I'll forget I'm blind sometimes because I know what's around me. Not down to a T, but I know what my mom's house looks like, she said, learning to adapt to her new sensory abilities. You will see, but you don't see with your eyes. It's hard to explain because I don't even understand it myself, she said. Well, that's because you're still coming off of meth, and so it's hard for you to explain anything logically. But I'll just say this. The reason why it's easy for you to adapt and why you can see everything is because, yes, you do know your mother's house. That's because you've been living there all your life. But the outside world and everything else, well, that's going to be a challenge. Again, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, but this girl paid the price of messing with meth, their choice drug. Well, anyways, I'm going to end this off. Thanks a lot for watching and tuning in to Black Talk Radio, where black radio stations matter. Thanks again, and peace out.